We'll hear from Noah right now.
On April 20th, 1999, Cassie Bernal, Stephen Cornell, Corey DePuter, Kelly Fleming, Matthew Petcher, Daniel Mauser, Daniel Warbo, William Sanders, Rachel Scott, Isaiah Scholes, John Tomlin, Lauren Townsend, and Kyle Vasquez went to school. They sat in their classes, sat on their desks, talked to their friends, did everything that we students do every day with no idea that it would be their last. They had no idea that at 11:19, two students armed with pistols, shotguns, and homemade bombs would walk into Columbine High School and steal their lives. As a high school senior, I was born in 1999, and many of us in this crowd were too, and our lives have since been defined by public displays of gun violence. After Columbine, we watched Virginia Tech, Sandy Hook, Aurora, San Bernardino, Pulse Nightclub, Sutherland Springs, Las Vegas, and now Stoneman Douglas. The violence we've witnessed isn't limited to mass shootings either. Every year, 30,000 people are killed with guns in either homicides or suicides. We've grown up in a country that has the highest rates of homicide and firearm suicide in the world. We've grown up in a country that allows 1/4 of gun sales to happen without background checks. A country that allows those too young to buy alcohol to buy weapons of war. It's been 19 years since Columbine. 19 years of unchallenged gun violence. You would think that something would have been done right now. You would think that the United States, like every other country in the developed world, would have passed common sense, safe gun laws to prevent lethal weapons from getting into the wrong hands. But that hasn't happened. Instead, in 2017, guns are just as, if not more, irresponsibly accessible as they were in 1999. This generation, the gun violence generation, has watched the inaction. With each massacre, we've heard the thoughts and prayers, heard the empty promises for change, and watched the NRA buy our elected representatives into stagnancy. But this November, we will demand action. This November will be the first election that David Young and our Republican Congress have to face our generation. The first time that they have to answer for their refusal to act. The first time that we vote for universal background checks, mandated waiting periods, and a ban on assault-style weapons, high-capacity magazines, and bump stock. We finally close the fire sale loophole that allows 1 out of 4 gun sales to occur without background checks and designates more state funding for mental institutions. The first time that we, the students that have witnessed the gun violence epidemic, stand up and demand legislators that will stand up for us. Not only for our 13 brothers and sisters who died at Columbine, but for the thousands that have died in gun violence since then, and for the 17 students who died at Parkland, and most importantly, for those who will die in the future if we do not act. On November 6th, 2018, vote. Lives depend on it.
Just as a reminder to everyone to please just keep off of the stairs so that we can keep this more organized. Thank you very much. And as a reminder as well, please feel free to go and visit the different little tables that we have so that you can become more educated and also register to vote. Okay, so now we're going to hear from Maddie Johnson. And then after that, we'll hear from Raj Oberoi. Maddie's from ZMAC and Raj is a senior at Urbandale High School.
Can y'all hear me? Yeah! Okay, good. In light of the anniversary of the Columbine massacre, I was asked to perform a piece about the matter. You must know that I do not know everything, but I believe in a lot of things, and I'm here to tell you some of both. I believe that this is a step and that there will be many more to come. I believe that if we are going to take the guns out of communities of color, we must also disarm those who target them. I believe that police violence still counts as gun violence. In a protest, ain't really a protest if they're protecting it. I believe they're protecting who they want to, that they'll protect my face until they see these words pour out of it themselves. I believe with great privilege comes great responsibility, and sometimes that means knowing when to step back. I believe that we need to pour all this energy back into preteens. I believe in boys and girls and those in between, and that the future is sitting in a classroom. I know they still have to ask to go to the bathroom, and we do too much to make kids think that they can't make a difference. I know that kids can be that difference. Just take Ruby Bridges, 6 years old with heartbeat loud. I believe that she was braver in kindergarten than I am now. I believe in change, that we can't have progress if it's only for some people. I believe in the church, and I see the steeples, and I say amen to ward off the evil, but it's sneaky, has a way of slithering its way into positions of power like vines with all thorns but never a flower. I believe that young people with pencils could prune a whole palace of those weeds, that their voice will outweigh the world when it matters, and they'll grab their paint and their hammers and ladders and fix up the mess that we've made of this world. I know it's beaten and battered and nothing that they can't handle, and they'll learn more than I'll ever know. So we've got to show them the right way so they can see some brighter days. Don't tell your kids they're in a phase, because adolescence is a maze, but these kids are growing up in a gun range, seeing more school shootings on TV than any generation should ever see. They should be planning for sweet 16s, not learning how to dodge an AR-15. So I'm gonna fight with words and fists and feet till they can learn without concern for their own safety. I can safely say that these laws are outdated, so I make my calls and I put my name in. Tell representatives they don't represent me. If they'll support legal action based in bigotry, accountability is what they need to turn around a nation neck deep in greed. Political pockets that the NRA feeds need to be picked like a lawn full of weeds. We are here, our hearts warm and aware that we need gun reform. So let's not stop now. Let us take no bows until everyone can feel safe in their own town. Thank you, Des Moines.
It is a great day to save some lives. You know, people have asked me what the purpose of this event is. They've asked me, why did I go through the stress of helping plan something like this? And the truth is, there isn't a concrete answer. You aren't going to have the same exact reason for standing here that the person next to you does. Some of us are here for stricter gun laws. Some of us are here for the safety of our peers, and maybe some of us are here for reasons that I don't understand. Well, as necessary as I believe it is, this rally isn't just about gun control. It's about us as students. It's about showing the power that we hold. Some people say we should shut our mouths and let our political leaders do their jobs. Well, to that I say I'm tired. I am tired of hearing of your thoughts and your prayers. I'm tired of their inaction. This rally is here to show that we are a generation that cannot be ignored. This event wasn't organized by politicians or the media or by corporations. It was organized by a group of dedicated high school students. But this rally isn't where our message ends. This is a beginning. We have to be the generation of youth that effectively utilizes our voices. We have to show our governor, our Congress, and our president that we are a voice that cannot and will not be ignored anymore. Gun violence won't magically end with this rally. But it didn't take one rally to achieve women's suffrage. It didn't take one rally to get rid of Jim Crow, and it didn't take one rally to give all people the right to marry. It took years and years of dedicated and focused work to bring about change. It took thousands upon thousands of people to stand up for what's right. This rally is amazing. It's stunning how many people we have supporting this cause, but we can't let ourselves relax and say that this is enough. We will have to fight through doubters, through armchair critics, and through people who view us as insignificant. Every single student standing here today, as well as every single one of our peers walking out across the nation, has started a movement that will change the tide of America. Columbine wasn't the first, and Parkland wasn't the last. But eventually, we'll be able to say that it won't happen again. Until then, we stand up, we walk out, and we fight.
Okay, so now we'll be hearing from Morgan, a poet from Urbandale. She's a senior. And after that, we'll hear from Anna. She's a senior at Roosevelt. And Louise, who's also a senior at Roosevelt.
Short, so I gotta take the mic out. Can y'all see me around? Alright. They say the government is here to protect us, and that we live in a country where we are free. But why is it that we are imprisoned by an amendment? America the free? Please. Every day at least 96 people die from gun violence. Isn't it time to speak about it? Can you not hear them scream? Can you not hear us scream? Our names aren't given to us just so they can be turned into a hashtag. While America sits on their hands pretending they don't see, staring at their TVs while mothers kill. Isn't it time to discuss how there's more blood that litter floors and streets than kids in football stands? How could you not want change? Didn't we see how 26 bodies were murdered in cold blood? That was Texas. How 28 bodies were murdered in cold blood? That was Sandy Hook. How 17 damn bodies were murdered in cold blood? That was Parkland. For God's sake, we are the generation that has to practice lockdown drills, wear clear backpacks and step through metal detectors as an everyday duty. Is that really the solution? How many more hearts have to reach flatlines so someone can feel free? How many more funerals will be planned so an amendment won't die? We shouldn't have to start writing a will in case we meet head-on with a bullet before we reach home. Let us talk about it and stop ignoring the problems around us, because it's not changing and it hasn't changed. And if mental health is such a side effect of a shooter, let us talk about that too. End gun violence. Enough is enough.
On an average day in America, 93 people die from gun violence. These deaths are due to the overabundance and accessibility of firearms in our country.
Although it is important to talk about and work with stopping gun violence in our schools, we need to remember that this is a fight to end all gun violence, not just the gun violence that is directly linked to us. Today we want to take some time to talk about the realities of all gun violence in our nation, including domestic violence, mental health awareness, and the effect of gun violence in Black and Brown communities. We want to offer solutions that the Never Again movement puts forward and that we believe in as well.
Carissa Rivers was 29 when she was shot in Keokuk, Iowa, by her estranged boyfriend, Russell Jared Tallman, who was 39. She was shot in an alley behind a business. Carissa had moved out of their shared home after Tallman had assaulted her numerous times, including 9 days before her death. A warrant had been issued for Tallman's arrest. Less than 12 hours after Carissa's death, authorities found Tallman's body in his home, deceased from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Despite the multiple charges against Tallman, he still had access to a gun that took away 2 lives.
Nearly 50 American women are shot to death by their partners each month. That's more than 1 a day.
Domestic violence assaults involving a firearm are 12 times more likely to result in death than those involving other weapons or bodily force.
In order to combat the use of firearms and domestic violence, waiting periods, extreme risk protection orders, and background checks could have saved Carissa's life.
Each year, 44,965 people die from suicide. 60% of those suicides are attributed to firearms. Approximately 90% of people who attempt suicide with a gun will die.
In contrast, over 90% of those who attempt suicide with other methods will live, and they are unlikely to attempt suicide again. Clearly, the easy accessibility to guns in our country is contributing to the high rates of suicide we see each year.
Gun violence is so much more than just gun control, especially when it comes to mental health. In 2015, the Branstad administration closed 2 of Iowa's 4 mental health institutions. Since the Reynolds administration, privatization of healthcare has only added to the trouble in finding and affording mental health resources in our state. This combination of cuts and privatization has led Iowa to be ranked 44th in the country for mental health workforce and 51st, last in the country for ratio of psychiatric beds to residents. Voting for representatives that want to implement stricter gun laws and provide more attention to mental health in our state could save many of the lives lost to suicide.
Darius Stewart was riding around with one of his friends when a police officer noticed a missing headlight and signaled for them to stop. The officer, Connor Sheeling, asked everyone for identification, found 2 out-of-state warrants for Stewart, 19 at the time, and pulled him out of the car. A half an hour later, Stewart was dead. Stewart was one of more than 100 people shot and killed by police after a traffic stop this year, making the roadside interaction one of the most common precursors to a fatal police shooting of a black person in 2015. Although this was in 2015, people of color have been targeted the most in gun violence continuing into 2018 as well as many years before.
The vast majority, 77% of white gun deaths are suicide. Less than 19% are homicides. However, these figures are nearly opposite in the black population, where only 14% of gun deaths are suicide, but 82% are homicides.
Gun violence is part of a vicious cycle of race and inequality in the U.S., reflecting existing social inequalities and making it even more challenging for young black people to escape poverty and violence. Although stricter gun laws won't erase the vicious cycle of race inequality in America, it will work to make it less fatal to minority populations, including people like Darius Stewart.
As we look at gun violence, especially with the recent school shootings, it is important to remember to look to all gun violence. This includes recognizing domestic violence, the disproportionate effect of guns on people of color, and mental health awareness.
The U.S. makes up less than 5% of the world's population, but holds 31% of global mass shooters. We need to take initiative to make change and represent a country that wants life for everyone.
We urge you to not let today be the end of your support. Today is really just the beginning of this fight.
Lastly, you can use your voice to educate, to speak out against all forms of gun violence, and especially to vote. If we hope to see any change, we must elect officials this November that are willing to fight against all forms of gun violence.
Thank you guys. Okay, now we're going to hear from Kayla Wynn, who's a senior at Urbandale, and then Jaleisha Johnson. Kayla.
When I told fellow students that I was going to speak at the Capitol, I received positive and negative feedback. People asked me, how is this going to fix anything? Or why would anyone listen to us? The truth is, we are not going to make a big change today. We are not going to change laws and end gun violence right now. But today, we are having our voices heard. It's about getting our legislators and politicians to listen to us. We are here to work towards change and finally take action where our leaders have failed to do so. But in order to make change, we must be able to unite regardless of political beliefs. The world is so divisive and polarized. This should not be a red versus blue issue. This is not about taking your Second Amendment right away. This is an issue that all Americans are facing. This is about making everyone safe, regardless of what you believe in. Everyone is talking, but no one is listening. In order to make a change, we must be able to have a civil conversation with people who disagree. We must listen to each other and understand both sides. It's about knowing the facts and becoming educated on both ends of the spectrum. We have so much time to listen to each other, but why haven't we made an effort to do so? The average person lives 27,000 days. That's 27,000 days filled with opportunity. That's 27,000 chances to make a change. Tamir Rice only had 4,530 opportunities. Trayvon Martin had 6,226 opportunities. Stephon Clark had 8,030 opportunities. Philando Castile had 12,035 opportunities. All of these victims affected by gun violence will never be able to have their voices heard again. The kids at Columbine and Parkland will no longer have the opportunity to learn. The people at Pulse nightclub will never get to see their loved ones. The kids in Sandy Hook didn't even get a chance to celebrate their 8th birthday. We have the opportunity to rise. We may not know how many days we have, but every day is a chance to make a change. Every day, we have the chance to fight for social justice. We will fight for the safety of others. We will demand safety in schools, churches, concerts, nightclubs, inner cities, neighborhoods, and playgrounds. We will demand justice for those who have fallen, and we will fight for the protection of all of us. But it all starts with a civil conversation. It starts with asking ourselves, how can we make a difference together?
When they ask me why I... Can y'all hear me? Yeah. I'm not going to use it. I'm not going to use it. Okay, I'm going to use this. When they ask me why I want gun control, I say it's because I know too many people that cannot control a gun. I know too many people that find control in guns, that love the authority that comes with an AR-15 when you are 15. You should be worried about siblings and standardized tests. Should be worried about homecoming, not scared that your siblings won't come home every day. I fear for my little sister's life, fear that a man and his misogyny and machine gun will make a martyr of my kin. When they ask me when I want gun control, I say right now. I say that brown community's been fighting for this far before a march for our lives. I say that black students been fighting for this, and some said our life ain't matter. I say I want to see y'all at the next protest, if it's for a trans body or an immigrant or a Muslim ban. Or a Muslim ban. Keep that same energy. Keep up the fight and the fist. Keep up the resilience. When they ask me how I want gun control, I say melt every bullet and badge into a bathtub, the kind with the clawed feet. Let us rinse the fear of the word fatal from our vocabulary. Let us cleanse this country of mass shootings. Let no more children die, and no more children die. Too many children died. Far too many children died because of an ancient amendment. Something's gotta give. Uncontrolled guns got to go. Congress needs to show us that they care about our lives more than the president's ego. Thank you.
Okay, can we just have another big round of applause for everyone who just spoke? Thank you so much for your inspiring messages. I'd just like to remind everyone very quickly, and I'm going to keep on reminding you all, to please go over to the voter registration table if you have not already. Can the League of Women Voters raise their hands again? Please go over there. That is how we get things passed. That's how we act. Not just coming here, you have to show up and vote. Okay, thank you. We're going to now transition to our gubernatorial and congressional political forum. So everyone who came for that, like a special guest, can you please come up here? Over there by Lucy, actually. Just go over by Lucy. I don't think we're doing that anymore. So while they have it up there, I'm going to explain how this is all going to happen. So we have 7 candidates with us today. And 3 are running with hopes to take on Representative David Young in Iowa's 3rd district congressional race. And 4 are hoping to take on Kim Reynolds in this year's governor's race. Currently, these candidates and their teams are working tirelessly campaigning for the Democratic primary on June 5th. Remember that date, June 5th, where Democrats decide what candidates they want to represent the Democratic Party in the general elections this November. If you will be 18 by November 6th, if you are 18 by November 6th, you will be eligible to vote in that primary. Okay? That's where these guys come into place again. So today we're going to have a chance to hear from all of these candidates about gun control and mental health care policy and what policies they will advocate for if elected in November. We're going to introduce each of the candidates if they've submitted a bio, and then separate the candidates from the ones running for Congress and governor in order to be able to ask more specific questions for that job that they're seeking. Each candidate is going to get 90 seconds to answer the questions that we submit to them. And we're going to introduce our candidates for governor if we have any of them here. Where are our governor candidates? Can you raise your hand? Oh, Lisa's explaining stuff to them right now. Governor candidates? Hello, hello. Hi, guys. Well, a warm round of applause for our governor candidates. So, first we're going to welcome Dr. Annie McGuire. McGuire was born in Waterloo, Iowa, the daughter of a World War II veteran and a hardworking mother in a family of 8. McGuire is the mother of 7 children and raised a family while training to be a doctor. As a medical director, she focused on preventive care, including vaccinations and prenatal checks. Dr. McGuire is a longtime community leader who produced real results in the areas of healthcare and education. She established a scholarship at her alma mater for students in rural areas interested in health sciences, used scientific data to advocate the expansion of early childhood education, and supported a community-based treatment program for drug-addicted mothers and their children. With her unique, solutions-driven background in helping people, she will work to make sure all Iowans have the opportunity they need to succeed. Dr. Annie McGuire. Next, we'll meet John Norris. John Norris is a 5th-generation Iowan running for governor to represent every Iowan in every Iowa community. He was raised on the Montgomery County family farm his great-great-grandparents settled in 1881. Educated at Red Oak Community Schools, Simpson College, and the University of Iowa College of Law, John benefited from having a strong family, a close-knit rural community, and a world-class Iowa education. John spent time as a small business owner in Greenfield. John's experience has prepared him to be governor from day one for every Iowan and every Iowa community. His lifetime of service includes being chief of staff to Tom Vilsack twice in the governor's office and at the United States Department of Agriculture, chair of the Iowa Utilities Board, commissioner for the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, and was appointed by President Obama to be the U.S. representative for agricultural policy at the UN. John Norris. Now, let's welcome Kathy Glosson. Kathy Glosson is the president of the SEIU Local 199, representing thousands of nurses, healthcare workers, and school support employees across Iowa. She is a registered Nurihu. We're going to have to talk about that afterwards. Nurihu, who worked in intensive care unit at the University of Iowa hospitals and clinics, where she led the effort to unionize her fellow nurses 18 years ago. She is running for governor on a bold progressive platform that includes raising the minimum wage to $15, expanding and strengthening union rights, and enacting a single-payer universal health care system in Iowa. Kathy Glosson. Next, we have Nate Bolton. Nate grew up in the small Iowa town of Columbus Junction in a proud Union family. He is the product of a rural Iowa public school, Simpson College, and Drake University Law School. Nate lives with his wife, Andrea, in East Des Moines and serves in the Iowa Senate, where he led the opposition when Republicans dismantled the rights and quality of life for Iowa workers, from public safety officers to local teachers, last year, and continues to fight for working Iowans as the legislative session drags on this year. As an attorney, Nate has spent his career standing up to powerful interests, from big corporations to the Branstad Reynolds administration. He has represented women facing discrimination, injured workers, and the mentally disabled on behalf of the public workers. Nate has taken the Branstad Reynolds administration all the way to the Iowa Supreme Court and won. Nate is focused on economic opportunity across all of Iowa, adequate funding for public schools, and affordable and accessible health care. He's fought for an economic agenda that will benefit middle-class families rather than the Branstad Reynolds plan that just gives subsidies to big corporations with no real accountability for quality job growth. Nate Bolton. So where are candidates running for Congress? Do you have them anywhere? Hi guys. So over here we have Cindy Axby and Eddie Morrow. Thanks for welcoming them. Okay, so we're actually going to start this political forum now. So I don't know if you guys want to separate a little bit, because we do have different questions depending on whether you're running for governor or for Congress. Okay? So as a reminder, it's going to be, I'm going to stand over here. So as a reminder, it's going to be 90 seconds for your response. And I will be the moderator. Depending on how well we're answering questions, we might be able to cut you off. And Lucy's actually going to be flashing cards at me how much time you have. So pay attention to Lucy. I'm going to go confer with her in just a second which question I want to start with. Okay, so our first question that we have, I'm just going to stand over here and I'm going to hand this as we go down the line, okay? So, do you pledge to refuse campaign contributions from the NRA and similar interest groups?
Okay, I'm Andy McGuire and I'm running for governor, and thank you for being here today. You know, I absolutely will not take a dime from the NRA to when I saw this sign down here, it says, Joni Ernst, are our lives worth more than $3.1 million? She's bought by the NRA, and so is Kim Reynolds in the Republican legislature. So I have 7 kids, and they were all in school during Columbine. That's how I think about today. And so we've got to make sure that all of you and all of your friends get out and vote. You saw that vote thing over there? It doesn't matter what the NRA does if we don't get out and vote them out of office. So get over there and get yourself registered, okay? You know, you have so much more power than the NRA. You just don't know it. This kind of power, protesting, talking to your legislators, making sure we have voting rights. I would love to, as McGuire for governor, I will stand with you against the NRA. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for being here. I'm John Norris, candidate for governor. I absolutely, it's not even a fair question. NRA's not going to give me any money, so it's easy to pledge not to take it. I'm so proud of you for what you've done here in Des Moines, Iowa, and across the nation. Many of you have just finished your high school civics or government class. You've learned about what democracy is supposed to be like. Now you've run head-on into what our democracy really is. It's captured by special interests and corporate lobbyists. You have the power to take back our democracy. They may have money, But you have the ultimate currency in politics in a democracy, and that is the vote. And when you rise up, you send us not just a signal to yourself and other students, but the rest of everyone in this country about how important it is to stand up, march, and stick up for what you believe in. And we believe in responsible gun control for this country and end the gun violence. Thank you all very, very much.
All right, I'm Nate Bolton. I'm a state senator, and I'm running for governor because what you are doing here tells us it is time for a new way forward for Iowa. Are we ready for it? When we talk about money in politics, I'm someone who says actions speak a lot louder than words. I've introduced legislation. I introduced an amendment this year that would have capped PAC contributions to the federal limits that actually brought real change to Iowa. The Republicans wouldn't let us even debate the issue. They stopped it with a procedural step. So if you're fine with this system, vote for them. If you want change, we're fighting for it here today, aren't we? You're not going to wonder where I'm at on your issues. You can check my voting record. You can see when they expanded the use of deadly force to include mistakes, I voted against it, and I challenged them on the floor of the Iowa Senate when they did it. When you look at the legislation they've introduced to make the Iowa Constitution enhance gun rights far beyond federal gun rights, I stood up to that. When you look at my campaign contributions, you can see when I ran for the Iowa Senate in the Democratic primary, ran for the Iowa Senate in the general election, have run this race for governor, you won't find a dime from the NRA there either. Thank you for being here. Thank you for speaking up.
How you doing out there? My name is Kathy Glosson, and I'm a bold progressive that's going to stand up to the NRA. We are the USA. Vote out 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 the NRA. Guess what? In November, I stood in the backyard of the president of the NRA in Grinnell, Iowa, standing up on my position on gun violence and gun reform. And I'm proud to say today that I'm the first Democratic candidate running for governor that received the Candidate of Distinction recognition from Moms Demand Action. So let's keep our feet on the street, our voices in the air, and mobilize and organize to take back our country and take back our state. Thank you for what you're doing.
Hey everybody, I'm Cindy Axme and I'm running for the United States Congress because we've got to get David Young out of there. And no, I won't take any money from the NRA, and as a matter of fact, at CindyAxmeForCongress.com, it says I won't take any corporate PAC money because it's buying our democracy. David Young, our current Republican congressman, takes over $700,000 from the NRA. He is the third largest recipient of NRA funding in Congress, and he has to go. That's right. Listen, I'm the proud mom of 2 teenage boys who go to our public schools in West Des Moines, and they're both participating in our walkouts today. So I'm going to stand up and fight tooth and nail for all of us. 96 people a day die from gun violence. We've had almost one school shooting a week, every single week so far this year. If this was a healthcare epidemic, we'd be doing everything we can to solve this. We have got to put an end to this right away. I'm so grateful that you're here. You are our future. Every change that's been made in this country has come because of events like this. Keep it going. Happy to be here with you.
welcome to the revolution. You are the future of the revolution. I will never take money from the NRA. They would never give me any money anyway. And this revolution starts now, and it goes every day. I'm telling my young people, I was a former teacher. Back at this time of year, we used to be doing tornado drills, right? And now what are we doing? Active shooter drills. What the hell is that? We need you to stand up. We need you to stand strong. They're hoping that you go away. You need to have a strong voice today and every day. You need to let them know you're not going away until we replace David Young, until we replace Joni Ernst, until we take money out of politics. We get a Democrat elected governor. EddieMorrow.com. God bless you.
My name is Pete D'Alessandro, and I'm running for Congress. My name is Pete D'Alessandro, and I'm running for Congress so that I can carry the message that you're forcing onto this society, that we need to end this plague right now in this generation. Change never comes from this building. Change never comes originally from the United States Capitol. Change in this country has always come because of people like you willing to do what you're doing today. You honor this country by what you're doing. 90% of the people in this country say we have to have common sense gun control, and we don't even have a serious debate about it because people like David Young are owned by the people with the money, by the NRA, and those that have their hands on the power. What you are saying and what you will do is you will say that this rigged system will not stand anymore. This rigged system that says money is more important than people will not be what wins. You have made this happen. I am honored to be here. I would be honored to be your nominee. I would be honored to be your congressperson. And I will think of this picture in my mind every day if I get that honor to be your congressman. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, guys. Okay, so this speaker actually ran out of battery over here, so we're just gonna have to listen to this one. Okay, so we're gonna spice it up with a different question. Okay, so this is more specific. So David Young recently supported the Stop School Violence Act. However, okay, right there, right here? Okay, yeah, so just remember, you have to like eat the mic. Is this congressional candidates? Oh, okay, congressional candidates. Okay. So David Young recently supported the Stop School Violence Act. However, gun violence is not unique to schools. In fact, many members of this crowd have had friends and family members murdered by gun violence in their communities. As a congressman, what measures would you take to reduce and prevent gun violence outside of schools, particularly in black and brown communities? Need a second to think about that? Who's ready to go? Okay, here you go.
Okay, again, I'm Cindy Axney. We have absolutely got to address background checks. I want to make sure that there are universal background checks at our gun show sales, online sales, person-to-person transfers, so we keep the guns out of the hands of people with criminal and violent backgrounds. And we absolutely need to reinstate the assault weapons ban that's been off the books for over a decade. There's no reason for those weapons in our society. Listen, I had the opportunity to work in this building right behind me and that building right over there as a division administrator at the Department of Natural Resources. One of the units I oversaw was hunting and fishing licensing. So I'm very familiar with Iowa's history of gun ownership for sport and protection. And I'll tell you what, just like Pete mentioned, 90% of the people in this country believe we need better gun regulation. And that goes for the people who are hunters here in Iowa. They came to make sure that we provided good training to keep guns safe and to keep them out of the hands of kids. So I'll do whatever it takes to raise up the lives of the people here in our district and make sure that we keep every single person in this community safe from gun violence. Thank you.
Wow, we're rocking out here today. In order to make the revolution move forward, we need to ask our congressman, our governor, our legislators, why not? Why do we not have funding for the CDC to find out where our kids are killing each other? Everybody say, why not? Why not? Why do we not have background checks for every person that gets a gun in this country? Why not? Why not? Why do we not close all the loopholes so the kids and people are going to get guns are properly checked? Why not? Why not? And why will you continue to take money from the NRA and then come out here and look at people in the eye and tell them that you really are for them? You tell me right now, why not? Why not? The revolution is here. It is not going away. We need to keep speaking up and speaking loud. We will fight for all these issues. Everybody here is going to fight for these issues. We need you to make that happen. Thank you.
My name's Pete D'Alessandro, and I will offer one reason why not. What we need in this country so that all of the work that you're doing every day becomes successful on these issues and other issues. On the gun, on the assault ban. How are we going to affect the assault ban? How are we going to make that happen? How are we going to have longer background checks? How are we going to make it so that those fellow citizens of ours that are struggling with mental illness have a tougher time getting a gun? How are we going to do that? Here's the why. We need fundamental campaign finance reform in this country so that the work you do, the work you're doing now, doesn't get swallowed up because those with the money want to do something else. When we do that, all of the work, all of the effort that you're making now that are putting us in that position will come to fruition because we will be able to pass these laws that we talked about earlier that 90% of the people are supporting and that you're working so hard to make happen. We need to make this country where the 90% matter more than the 90% with the money. That's what we need to do. We can make it happen. It's because of what you're doing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you guys. Okay, so now we're going to go through gubernatorial candidates. This past legislative session revealed a state legislator insistent on passing some of the most conservative and controversial bills in the history of the state. As a Democratic governor, how would you work with such a right-leaning legislator to pass gun control measures, and what specific policies do you see as politically feasible?
Let's fire up here a little bit. I'm Andy McGuire, I'm running for governor, and I'll tell you to that question, first thing you have to do is you have to vote the people out that put those laws in that are bad for every one of you. You know, when you realize that they put in a stand your ground law that could hurt any one of you, could make you unsafe on the street. You realize gun violence is the third leading cause of death in your age group? We have got to stop that. Do you agree? Yeah! So what are we going to do? We're going to go over to that table. We're going to register to vote. We're going to tell them, no, we're not going to have these kind of gun laws. We want gun laws that protect every citizen. I want my children and my grandchild and all of you to feel safe in a movie theater
John Norris running for governor. What we have to do is have a different conversation. We must stop the conversation in Iowa about how do we expand gun laws, how do we expand access to guns. Our conversation should change to how are we going to limit access to guns and end gun violence in this state. So there are some legislators up there right now. They need to hear from you. So I'm going to ask you on 3 to say, "We want change" 3 times. Are you ready? Yeah! 1, 2, 3. We want change! We want change! We want change! That's how we change the conversation, by demanding the legislators respond to the issues we have in this state and across this country to end gun violence. As your governor, I will not take part in any conversations about how we're going to expand access to guns in this state. The first thing we're going to do is stop this ridiculous legislation they passed last year that lets people open carry guns into public buildings. You should not feel under threat as a citizen of this state to enter a public building in the state of Iowa because some nut wants to carry his gun out and scare you. Amen! We want change. We'll make change with you keeping this movement going, and I'm helping you. Thank you.
I'm Nick Bolton, and I've been working in this legislature to bring about the kind of reasonable conversation we should be having about the overextension of firearms in our communities. You know, when we talk about bringing more people into our coalition and making our voices stronger, one voice that has been missing in their efforts to continue to expand further and further to illogical points the use of firearms in our communities. We're missing the voice of the very law enforcement community faced with those split-second decisions in our streets. When they offered a legislation that included expanding the use of deadly force in our streets, I responded by bringing in the chief of police from Pleasant Hill, the chief of police from Des Moines, the Republican mayor of Pleasant Hill, who was a concealed carry permit holder. And I said, these are people who we should be hearing from because they're the ones who are concerned about where this is headed. They're the ones who are concerned about where this is going. We have allies that are out there that we should be bringing into the conversation. As they look to exclude your voices, we bring in more people to be heard louder and louder. That's how we affect change. That's how we get things accomplished. That's how we
As a registered nurse, I've seen firsthand, and I work in the ICU, I work there, the firsthand effects that gun violence has on families in our communities. That's why in November, as a bold progressive candidate running for governor, I fully stood up in support of full ban on assault weapons in our state. We need comprehensive and thorough background checks. We need a 72-hour waiting period between purchase of a gun and having one in your hand. We also need to raise the minimum age of purchasing a gun to 21. We need to get the NRA out of the politicians' pockets and put power to the people. Because change only comes from the bottom up, not from the top down. That's why we're doing politics differently. We're building a bold progressive movement across this state. I invite you to join our movement. Kathy Glossop for governor. Thanks again.
Thank you everyone so much. Another round of applause for all of our candidates. Okay, so actually our political forum is finished now. We're going to invite a couple people up here to do chants. And then we invite everyone to go around. Reagan has kindly invited us all down to the Des Moines place over here. They have snacks and drinks for everyone and discounted t-shirts like the one I'm wearing right now. So we invite everyone to go down there after this. Thank you again everyone for coming.
us, right? Please, one time repeat after me. Enough is enough! Enough is enough! Enough is enough! Enough